Hey guys, it's Keith and I'm back again with another bike video. Today we're going to find out if the Nishiki Manitoba can rival the very well-known and high-quality Specialized Sirrus. The Nishiki is a less expensive bike, but it's quality made. You guys know I love the Specialized Sirrus if you follow my channel. So let's put them to the test and find out. Here's how I ended up buying a Nishiki because I didn't originally set out to get one. My son's birthday was coming up. I wanted to get him a bike a little nicer than what he had, and I'd been looking for a while, and if you hadn't known, there was a major bike shortage in the US coming out of COVID, and no one had anything where I lived, so I tried to get Specialized, couldn't. Then I looked into Giants, no Giants. Then there were some Trek dealers nearby, and there was a 6-month wait just to get an entry-level Trek for $500. So I remembered that sometimes the sporting goods stores, the higher-end ones, have good bikes. So that's why I wound up at Dick's. And the first thing I noticed was the Nishiki brand. I also tried to find out who manufactures Nishiki bikes. Best I could find was Wikipedia. If you believe Wikipedia, apparently Giant was involved in their manufacture, and then Dick's took over licensing in 2010. The Nishiki brand looked similar to my Specialized Sirrus, had a lot of the same geometry and same parts. It rode really good, and I was also kind of surprised at how lightweight the bike was for the money. So anyway, that's how we got here. Let's get into the review. I'm going to look at 3 areas: components and appearance, weight, and overall ride. So let's take a look at some of the features on the Nishiki Manitoba. So a nice matte finish with a couple different paint options. I really like this blue and kind of dark blue, almost black combination. Shimano V-brakes integrated with the shifter, and they work well. So here's the V-brake and a Nishiki headset. This is a hybrid bike, so it's going to have wider tires than a road bike. And back here we've got a Shimano cassette, 7-speed, Shimano Acera rear derailleur, and Nishiki rims. Some sort of unnamed pedal, composite resin plastic, a nice, very nice Shimano crank with 3 chain rings, Shimano Altus front derailleur. This is not a carbon fork. It's probably steel or aluminum, but the frame is aluminum, and that's important, and that I think is the real takeaway on this bike. It's got quick release front hub, a quick release back hub, a quick release seat. It's got some seat adjustment ability. And a very comfortable seat. Some bikes, new bikes, don't have comfortable seats, and you got to run out and spend money. This one does, just like the Specialized. So a very nice package. It rides great. Shifts well, brakes well. Aluminum frame, gotta love that. Pretty light bike for the price. And tire information: 28 by 1 5/8 by 1 3/8. In metric, that comes out to 700 by 35. So here's a view from on the bike. These grips where they flare out for the palm, I highly recommend them. They're way more comfortable than just the straight grips. So the handlebar is very similar to the Specialized, as is the neck, the combined headset and neck here. So that is the Nishiki from the driver's seat. So let's have a look at the Specialized Sirrus. If you want more details on this, you should see my full review. Basically, it also has Shimano shifters, which work great. It's got the Shimano Acera, and it also has V-brakes, which have served me quite well. I know some people love disc, and I'm not knocking disc. They definitely have their place, but the V-brakes have worked really well for me. This one does not have the combination shifter and brake like the Nishiki. So if you were to, fall and crack this, you could replace this without having to get into the combined setup here. Very comfortable seat on this. Similar finish. They're both a matte, kind of matte satin, non-glossy finish. Nice looking bikes. You'll notice right away one feature with the Specialized, and I think this might be one of the submodels of the Sirrus, where you can get the cables that go in the tubes. And so that's a little nicer, but it's not a deal breaker. That's just a tiny little feature. Back here, we've got a 9-speed. Okay, also a Shimano gear cluster back there. We've got Shimano Alevia, I guess is how you say that. I think it's pronounced Alevio for the rear derailleur. These things have been practically bulletproof. I've owned this bike for years now. I know this isn't the Shimano top of the line, but man, they work great, both the front and the rear. Up front here, the front derailleur is the Shimano Acera. We've got a 3-piece, 3 chain rings up front, and this one is a little larger because this is more of a road gear. It's still kind of a hybrid bike, but it's more towards the road, and so you're actually going to be able to go faster with this because of that. And I think I did mention a 9-speed cluster back here. Also, when we get down to this small gear, it's pretty small, and so the combination of that small gear and this big gear is going to make this bike faster on the road. It has to do with the geometry and the math of the small into the big. Most people aren't going to really need that. If you're looking for a top speed bike, then this one is definitely going to win the top speed battle. And of course this one does have the aluminum frame, and this one is going to be lighter than the Nishiki as an overall bike weight. The fork, this one you do get a carbon fork from what I understand. This is not always easy to find on some Sirrus models, especially some Sirrus models with the V brake. The carbon fork does help smooth out some bumps, and it is noticeable in my opinion, but on the Nishiki, the wider tire helps take care of some bumps compared to more of a road tire on this bike. I should point out that the thin tire is kind of a non-issue now because the current Specialized Sirruses seem like they're mostly or all coming with the wider 32 millimeter tire, and if you want to go into that skinny tire, you've got to get into some different models like the Elise or the Tarmac, and those are definitely more road type bikes. Also has the quick release hub on the front, quick release hub on the back. Before I forget, this does have a Shimano crank. This one has Specialized pedals. These pedals probably a little nicer than the Nishiki, but not a big deal. You can replace pedals. Interestingly, Specialized did not put a quick release for the seat. I don't know why they didn't do that. A little bit of an annoyance. I don't know why they didn't do that on a nice bike like this. But the seat is comfortable and it's adjustable, and a very nice overall package. Lastly, let's look at this one from on top. So again, we've got these nice flared ergonomic hand grips. If you've never had them, they make a difference. One little added feature here is these grips have a little lockdown nut so you can keep them from slipping. That does come in handy. Some grips like to move around. These don't, so I like that. Trigger shifters on this one operate very well. Neck and combined headset here, very similar actually to the other bike. Anyway, that is a quick comparison between these two bikes. There's the tire weight. So the weight on the Specialized, somewhere around 24.5, and I have subtracted, I've got a tare weight setting so it doesn't include the weight of the board and the bike stand. And I've also got accessories on this bike, including this pack right here, loaded up with an inner tube and a little portable pump. So I would bet the weight on the Specialized is 24 even or 23 and change. Okay, so here we are with the Nishiki, and it's stabilized. She's standing on her own. 28 pounds. The reality is this bike's probably 27 pounds and like 14 ounces or 13 ounces because there is a water bottle mount, and there's also a small flashlight, battery, and strap. So this bike is probably just under 28 pounds, and that is shocking in my opinion. That is pretty lightweight. This is a 17-inch frame. To me, that is shocking. A department store bike at this price that is under 28 pounds. and even with a little wider hybrid tire and a slightly wider rim, that is pretty awesome in my opinion. Quick side note, some department store bikes are 35 and 40 pounds. Even some of Nishiki's other bikes are heavier with the steel frame, so I consider this one pretty light. And just make sure you get the aluminum frame, guys, because Nishiki does, unless you want a steel frame. Some people think steel smooths out the ride a little bit, but to me, the extra weight is just not worth it. So let's finish up here with the overall ride and conclusions. So both bikes ride great. I don't think the Nishiki is the better bike. I think Specialized is the better bike because of the more premium components and the weight. But it could be that Nishiki is a better deal for 400 bucks. So the bottom line is Specialized is a great riding bike, and I've beat it up really a lot over the, since I've owned it, and it's held up to everything, trails, off-road stuff, things that we're probably pushing it for a hybrid bike with these kinds of rims and tires, ravines and brush and underbrush, and the Specialized has performed fantastic. I mean, it really rides like the day I got it. I haven't been able to put the Nishiki through the same kind of battery of tests, so I don't know if it's going to hold up like the Specialized, but the Nishiki does feel confident and strong in the dirt in the short time I've had it, and it has similar components, so hopefully it will be strong long term. The Specialized is a faster, lighter bike, and I really like those two features. But if you've watched my prior videos, I do preach a lot about the thinner tires, that I like them, but I have to admit I'm starting to like a wider tire. Turning and cornering on the street and the dirt feels a little more secure and certain on the Nishiki because of the wider tire. So I would consider the 32mm tire in my Specialized or next bike, even if it meant giving up some downhill and road speed. And as I said, it's less of an issue now between these two brands and others because Specialized is offering the wider 32mm tire now on what looks like all the Sirrus models. So for me, the big takeaway on the Specialized is the weight. It is, what do we say, like 4 pounds lighter? That is a lot, and the carbon fork is nice. So of course this is what you're paying for on the Specialized with the higher price tag in the name. I also do like the shifters a little better on the Specialized. I like the way they look and perform. The Nishiki performs well, but I think the Specialized is just a little more polished. So that's really my take. I think the Specialized is the better bike, but the Nishiki is likely a better deal, and the Nishiki is really a lot of bike for the price. It was really a pleasant surprise, and I'm still surprised at how nice it is. So you can't go wrong with either one. Please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, post any comments, and we'll see you in the next video.